recording.
There he is. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the September 6th meeting of the board. It is not the September 6th meeting of the board. It is the October 4th meeting of the board of Water and Power. Commissioners, welcome, everyone. Barbara, please call the roll.
We have Commissioners Holloman, Moss, Noonan, and Parfait present.
So we have a quorum. Just like to remind everyone this proceeding is being broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. I have no opening remarks at this time, so I'll turn the meeting over to the General Manager for report and briefing. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Commission and audience, I wanted to provide an update to you regarding an item that I'm not totally sure you're aware of. About 2 weeks ago, City Council passed a motion requesting that we present some information and come back to them related to our water quality compliance program, and generally in the areas related to what's the status of that program, what are the costs associated with that, and what if any are the funding issues on that relative to our rates consideration process. We are indeed moving on many fronts in water quality. It's a long-term program that we're not planning on going over in detail here today. We will be preparing a report, but just at a very high level, as we've all discussed as part of our reviews that we've had of our costs and expenditures going forward. It relates to our covering or bypassing several of our reservoirs. It's dealing with changing our treatment processes from chlorine to chloramines, our UV treatment, particularly like we're doing up at the LA reservoir, and other associated projects. All in the next 12 months, we're looking at some $600 million of contracts that will be coming to this board starting in November with one of our larger ones. So we will be presenting that information. Jim McDaniel and staff and FSO both are working on putting together a package of information around that that I anticipate, depending on scheduling of council, probably would go to committee first sometime in the next 30 days. So I believe that that'll be information that in general I think we have seen, but we're putting it together in kind of one package focused on that. And related to that, while we're on the topic of costs and budgets and such, I thought it would be important to bring up that you'll recall back Measure J in the last city election requires us to modify the timing of submittal of our annual budget to get it more in sync with that of the city budget before they adopt their budget. And that, as a result, we are changing that timing, and we will be filing towards around the end of this calendar year our budget, and we'll be we'll be looking for you to take a couple of actions. One will be the fact that we're going to need to adopt kind of a balance of this fiscal year budget, recognizing that we are not going to have an adjusted rate for water and power as of November 1, and that process is still being worked through. So we will be adopting that balance of year budget and giving you all the information of where we are year to date. And then we'll be looking forward to having to file earlier than we have in the past our fiscal year 12-13 budget. And at that point, I think we'll initially have to prepare one at a minimum that has a zero rate action on it, solely for the purpose of recognizing that issue is still pending. And we will lay out, it'll be much more as a result, not just the kind of typical receipts and appropriations type of budget that you see, but we believe we need to go beyond that, and that we would include in that an information with respect to what are the consequences of if we had a zero rate through the next fiscal year. And based on the discussions we've had in the past, I'm sure you're reasonably aware at a high level that that's not going to be something that's particularly tenable. So we will lay that out. We'll have that information for you, and then we'll be considering what alternative budgets associated with that there would be based on some assumptions with respect to rate actions, but that would be on an information-only basis. I think we have to file something that's predicated on, where our rates stand as of the time we file that document. So more coming on that. Just wanted to put that on your radar screen, that there will be needing to put some commission time, meeting time available for those factors.
Great.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ron. Item 3 are comments or requests from commissioners relative to department operations. Any comments that any of you have at this point? While we're on that point, though, are there any items on the consent calendar that we want moved to discussion?
I would like to pull item number 6 for discussion.
Okay. We will do so. Takes us to item 4, which is an opportunity for the public to speak. Barbara, we have one speaker card for 4.
Yes, I have one speaker card for item 4, Sally Neubauer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sally Neubauer. I'm representing the Citizens Committee to Save Elysian Park and also the Elysian Subcommittee of the Coalition to Preserve Open Reservoirs. I'm here to talk about Elysian Reservoir. It's one of the reservoirs that is in the process of being covered as a part of the Water Quality Improvement Program. And the final EIR has been issued, and it will be coming before you as a panel to vote on certifying it and recommend a solution for Elysian. And I'm here to plead for what the community wants, and the community wants a landscape buried tank there. The department is under a lot of pressure to cut budgets and cut costs where they can, but I want to point out to you that this is a process that the community has been involved in for 20 years. We've been meeting with a mediator and the department to work out solutions that are acceptable to the communities around these beautiful bodies of water. And Elysian is the only one in a public park. So not only are we sort of last on the agenda, but we're in a public park and a regional park at that. Elysian is a very, very well-used regional park for inner city kids. And by landscaping a cover, we would get approximately 14 new acres of park there. And not only that, but we would preserve the beauty of that canyon. Any other solution there would basically put an industrial blight in a 40-acre beautiful park canyon. So we are here to plead for, I'm here to plead for the community to tell you that other reservoirs down the line have received buried tanks, including Hollywood and also Silver Lake and Ivanhoe. They have wealthy communities that surround them, and they have gotten treatment that the wealthy communities have pushed for. Elysian is unfortunately in an inner city area, and it's a pretty poor area. So we don't have homes that look on this reservoir, but we have many, many people who enjoy public use of the park. And I'm pleading for you to do the right thing for Elysian Park. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the last card for number 4.
Thank you, Barbara. Which takes us to the consent agenda. We will move 6 to items to be discussed. Is there a motion for items 5 through 16?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? 5 through 16, with the exception of 6, carry unanimously. Which moves us to item 6. Who will address that item from the department?
I have John Dennis, the head of engineering, here for any details.
Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon. This item here today is for hydrogen gas that's used at our steam plants, and it's used specifically in our generating units for cooling our generators. And this particular item is a recommended award to Gilmore Liquid Air. We did have in the queries as we went out to several other vendors that we contacted, following up as far as non-participation. Several of these were because they didn't have the mobile storage equipment, and 3 of them were because they were unwilling to accept the terms and conditions that the insurance was the limits of liability. But this particular vendor here for Gilmore Liquid Air, they have the access to the equipment to provide for us, and the cost of this is 36% below our estimated number for this, and actually 26% below our current rates today for the hydrogen gas. So we're recommending that we move ahead with Gilmore Liquid Air for this 3-year contract.
Thank you. Commissioner Moss?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with the contract. I pulled this item for discussion to highlight 2 things. One, that the current contract expired at the end of September. And so once again, the Commission's being faced with an issue where we're asking to approve a contract that's already expired, the replacement contract. And the second issue is one that you touched upon, which is the unwillingness of certain vendors to accept the contract terms and conditions. And that was really the main reason why I wanted to pull it. Is you said that they have to do with the insurance requirements?
Yes.
What specifically were they objecting to?
I believe it's, I don't know if it's the amount or it's the limitation of liability also that's on there, but they just described that they were unwilling to accept our contract terms and conditions, and 2 of those.
And I point out one of those was Praxair, which I think was the provider under the last contract?
Yes, and Gilmore is a distributor for Praxair.
Yeah, see,
So they're getting the material from
right.
Praxair.
No problem with this particular contract, but we have to, I think, take a look at these requirements, because if we're not able to get competitive bids, then we might as well just give them to our best friends. It amounts to almost the same. I mean, we need a competitive bidding system, and if our rules and regulations are such, or requirements are such, that people aren't going to play ball with us, then we're kind of fooling ourselves. So I'd like to ask the general manager to take a look at this issue and see if there's something we can do to write our requirements so that we can get more competitive bidding.
I think we can get back to the bidders and get more specifics with regard to the exact items. I know our people have spoken with them. I don't have our risk people up here today that have spoken to those issues, but we can dig back into this, see what the issues are, see if it's something where a reasonable accommodation might be made in the future, whether it's a more indicative, deeper problem. I know in general from other contracts that we have seen and other things I've heard from other utilities is they are finding that insurers are kind of relooking at what they're willing to provide in terms of standard terms. And that could be an issue where what was available at reasonable cost in the past perhaps might not be. So we can dig back into that and,
I appreciate it.
and get some information back to you on that.
Yeah, other than that, I don't have an objection to the contract.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item 6 carries unanimously. Takes us to our items for discussion. We're going to move item 17 to the end of the items for discussion. We'll start with item 18.
Mr. President, we'd also like to move 18 to the end as well.
It's associated, yes. 17 and 18 to the
Yes,
end. So we'll start with 19. Who's going to present?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you.
Item 19 is a board package that's submitted to the board each quarter. It requests the approval of the water system cost estimates for water quality improvement, demand-side management, reclaimed water, and water security expenditures for the 12-month period starting January 1, 2012. Approval of these estimates are needed so these costs can be included in adjustment billing factors subject to the limitations provided in the ordinance effective the first quarter of 2012. We have Jeff Baltola from the Rates and Financial Planning available to respond to any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions from the commissioners? Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? None. 19 carries unanimously. Takes us to item 20.
Yeah, item 20 is requesting the board for approval to implement the water revenue adjustment factor effective January 1, 2012 through December 2012. The water revenue adjustment factor ensures that the fixed cost for transporting and distributing water is recovered when there is a shortage in base rate revenue for the fiscal year due to lower consumption. When the water system's minimum revenue target is not met at the end of the fiscal year, the water ordinance allows the department the water system to recover the revenue shortfall the following year through a water revenue adjustment factor. There is a 16.8 million shortfall last fiscal year, and we're requesting the board to approve the implementation of the water revenue adjustment factor. The board has approved this factor the last 2 years.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I'd like to approve the item.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 21.
Item 21 is requesting authorization for the payment of insurance premium up to $7.2 million for corporate property insurance for 1 year starting November 1, 2011. The current insurance policy is expiring on October 31, 2011. Approximately 30% of this cost is billable to IPA and other joint power agency joint venture partners. And as requested, staff has provided the board with supplemental information relating to the renewal process, which includes details of the pricing and the reasons for the significant increase in the renewal premium for the current year. And staff is available for any questions that commissioners have.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I do have one question. I noticed that a number of the companies that are listed on the insurance program are non-admitted. California, I'd like to know if someone's giving me an explanation of that and what the pros and cons of being admitted or non-admitted would be.
Avery Neiman with the Risk Management Section, introducing Alan Boring from Wells Fargo Insurance Services. Alan, would you like to make a general statement and I could add? Or?
Sure, yeah. The surplus lines carriers are less regulated, and sometimes when you have more difficult placements, you need to go to the surplus lines carriers, like London and Bermuda.
Which does not mean that they're not highly rated. Surplus lines carriers can have an A15 rating, which is the highest rating that BEST gives. It simply means they don't participate in the California Insurance Guarantee Fund, provided that they are brokered through a licensed surplus lines broker. They're permitted to sell insurance in California. So emphasize the fact that they're still excellent carriers, and Wells Fargo would not offer us anything but the best carriers for this program.
Okay, well, you didn't include the ratings of the various carriers. Do you have that handy?
Let's take a look. If we didn't, we can certainly provide that.
I don't have this handy, but I will get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
No, I just want to thank you for listening and respecting the feedback that we previously offered to you. Having this additional data is very helpful in having a better understanding of the process, so thank you.
Appreciate the comment. Mike Salazar takes the credit for it. Yell today sitting in for him, but he wrote the memo and is responsible for this renewal.
Okay.
I'll pass it on to him, Commissioner.
Actually, Mr. President, I have another question. Unless,
Please go ahead.
In your board letter, you talked about the fact that the rates are going, or the premiums are going up significantly due to the claims history.
Yes.
And you really didn't address the 6 claims that apparently have triggered this. Can you just briefly give the board a description of what those 6 claims are, and in particular, whether those are the kinds of claims that are kind of outliers or things that maybe we should be doing to avoid in the future?
As far as the carrier's perspective, some of the common comments we were getting back from them is that these are indications of an aging infrastructure, because some of the losses did seem to be, their transformer losses. was giving them concern. And unfortunately, one of the losses was presented to them just as we'd started to get some terms together on August 14th, and that was also a little problem.
But in answer to your question, Commissioner, we have on 11/14/08, there was a wildland fire known as the Sayre Fire, and that the sparks and embers from that carried over to our Sylmar converter station and some adjacent facilities and caught that on fire.
Right, but the board letter addresses from July 2010 to August 2011.
That's
6
correct.
claims.
What
were the nature of those claims?
That is one of the ones outside. On July 19th, 2010, at Haynes Generating Station, there was a water induction loss to one of the steam turbines, causing the rotor to bow. The gross loss on that one is approximately $4.7 million. With a $2 million deductible, the expected recovery is on the order of $2.7 million for that one loss. And there are 5 others. Would you like me to go over them in detail?
No, you don't. But again, you would categorize them as due to the aging infrastructure the department has. That seems to be
the carriers were feeling that there was a trend in that direction.
Okay.
There are 3 transformer losses in that 6, so 50% of them are transformer losses.
Okay. No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron, may I ask you, is the plant that suffered the bowed turbine, was that at one of the facilities that we're repowering right now?
Yes, that's the Haynes units.
Was it that particular Haynes unit that we're repowering?
This is unit, it was unit 2. I can't recall the unit.
I believe that is one of the units that's scheduled to be taken out of service, so.
It is one of the older units.
Definitely.
Well, it doesn't sound like we're postponing upgrading the infrastructure. That sounds like we're making those investments today.
These are not the 5 and 6 that we're going to take out of commission. The unit 1 and 2 are the ones that are coming after Scattergood.
I see.
So we have to have them available for the summer runs.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 21 carries unanimously. Item 22.
So item 22 is asking the board to approve the annual energy savings. It's under the Power Rates Ordinance, and it's our annual decoupling action that we're asking the board. The annual energy savings are listed in the board document, $177,869,993, and there's a cumulative savings of $787,237,586 kilowatt hours, which represents about $43 million. We have staff on hand to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Parker?
Have these savings been audited, so we're confident in these numbers?
These savings have been developed using various methodologies. We use the database for energy efficient resources. We also use the KEMA quantification study, and these are guidelines that are approved by the Energy Commission and the Public Utilities Commission.
Follow up?
No. I just want to make sure that we're not being put into a position where we approve the decoupling amounts and then upon further review we find that those savings actually were not actually accrued, and so we would be paying into the power system for energy that indeed wasn't saved, and those losses really weren't incurred, and I want to make sure we're not being put in that position.
We are somewhat more conservative as we document our energy savings with our EM&V, and we follow protocols for the IOUs and the POUs, but in looking at how we document the savings, I would say that we err on the side of caution, and that's not a risk that I would think would be before you with these.
All right, thank you. I'd like to move to approve.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 22 carries unanimously. Takes us back to 17 and 18. Barbara, we have a speaker card for 17.
Yes, item 17, I have one speaker, J.D. Smith.
Hand you one of these.
To the security behind you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is J.D. Smith from JASCO, local small business. We are a certified WMBE, MBE, DBE company, and I'm here to talk about the protest I filed in reference to the Owens Lake project, Phase 8. I'm not here looking for Bernard Construction to be ruled non-responsive. If you would look at the second paragraph, I'd like to start there. In putting my bid price together, I learned that Windwater, a subcontractor of Bernard Construction, had given them a price for the pipeline. So I asked Windwater for the price of the 6,000 linear feet of 30-inch HDPE pipeline. They said no. Next, I asked Bernard Construction, my prime contractor, for the price they had received from Windwater. They said no. We will not give you the price, is what they said. 2 days later, the owner of Windwater would not return my phone calls. I don't know what was said between Bernard Construction and Windwater, but even until today, I have not received a price from Windwater. For those reasons, Bernard Construction could be ruled non-responsive because they broke the LADWP laws and rules. The LADWP laws and rules at this time, I'm sorry, I lost my spot here. At this time, they should be ruled non-responsive. The prime is to, with all reasonable steps, to ensure our equal opportunity to compete for and participate in the department's contracts. It would have been simple. Just give us the price of the pipeline. That would have been a reasonable step to take to solve this issue. Mr. Daniel Davis from the Supply Service Department asked the Windwater Company why they did not give JASCO a cost price for the pipeline, and they said because we have not done business with them before. Well, you cannot give Bernard Construction a cost price and not give one to JASCO, a local small business. That is discrimination. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to bid on LADWP projects with the lowest supplier price out there for everyone. However, we can still solve this issue positively for all parties involved. All of us want Bernard's Construction to do the job because they are $5–6 million lower than the next lowest bidder. I spoke with City Attorney Dirk Browser, who suggested that I speak with Bernard Construction, and I did. I spoke with one of their officials, and Bernard Construction is willing to negotiate with JASCO on letting us construct the pipeline. In return, JASCO will drop its protests against Bernard Construction.
Could you wrap up your remarks, please?
Bernard Construction allocated $800,000 for the pipeline. JASCO bid it $2,075,000, the difference of $1,275,000. If you review the detailed spreadsheet on the back there, an explanation is written there. I mean, even with the addition of the $1,275,000, the total cost of LADWP is still about $5 million below the next lowest bidder. So I'm asking that the good faith effort rule be applied equally and fairly. It's not just about a prime contractor getting enough points with MBEs and DBEs. There are other parts to LADWP, Water and Power's good faith effort. And I'm saying they broke that. And because of that, I'm asking that we be allowed to negotiate with Bernard Construction to do that pipeline.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Brown?
President, I would advise that we go into closed session prior to any determination of this item pursuant to subdivision B1 of section 54-956.9 of the California Government Code.
That will include 17 and 18, or are we only going
Just 17.
Just 17. Great. Then that's what we'll do. Thank you.
Well, I should go back in the room because we got to come out in open session. So
Did you want, did you want to go ahead and file 23 and filed items 23?
We'll do it when we get back.
Okay.
Let's go take care of this now. Thank you.
We're recording.
Thank you. We are back from closed session. We're going to take up item 17. Is there someone from staff to present for us?
Good afternoon. Marty Adams, Director of Water Operations. Item 17 is to award a contract to be completed in the next by November 2012 to Barnard Construction. It's for the placement of a little over 2 square miles of gravel on what's known as the Phase 8 area of Owens Lake. It's Phase 8 is the phase that we agreed to do when we had our initial delay on completing Phase 7, and we were trying to pursue the Moten Row option. We took on Phase 8 as an obligation, and November 1st, 2012 is the deadline. We did receive permission from State Lands Commission to use gravel for the first time in mass on the lake, which is essentially a geotextile fabric placed on the surface of the lake, and then a 4-inch bed of gravel placed down for dust control. As dust controls go, it's the most expensive up front for capital costs, but it has a very fast payback period because it's the only dust control that doesn't have an ongoing water cost and a significant ongoing maintenance cost. The project involves placing about 1.2 million tons of gravel on the lake. It'll involve almost a 7-mile road constructed in the Phase 8 area, and include a 1-mile pipeline that'll help bring water from existing ponds toward an area of Phase 7 that we're obligated to control, one of the Phase 7A areas. We need to put that pipeline in because otherwise we'd have to dig up the gravel in the future. We had 31 firms that requested documents to bid on this. 5 firms bid. Barnard Construction, who has successfully completed other projects on the lake, was the lowest bidder of the folks who bid. We're comfortable with them. They've done good work in the past. The prices have been consistent with what they bid in the past, and their bid is actually 24% lower than our original estimate. Basically, we believe that their past experience on the lake and some innovative construction methods that hopefully will have them complete this project ahead of schedule has allowed them to bring it in at a very good price for us.
Thank you. Questions or comments from commissioners? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 17 carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 18. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Item 18 is a letter of intent between management and the affected bargaining unit regarding this Owens Lake project. It's really for MOU provision on contracting out of bargaining unit work. It's a letter of agreement, a letter of intent between the parties regarding the 10% overtime that'll be offered to employees that may have otherwise been allowed to do that work.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I really didn't understand this, so you
Okay.
should kind of walk me through it a little bit. What I did glean from it is we're agreeing to pay a 10% overtime.
What we do is we offer 10%, in accordance with the MOU language, we offer the opportunity to work overtime, not on this project, on other work that the department has to do, only to those classes that are affected by the contract. So if a backhoe operator is doing work on the contract, then the equivalent classification in the department in that section, in that location, would be offered 10% overtime to do other type of work that they otherwise were prevented from doing because this contractor got the work.
Okay, so just to put it in a practical basis, use the example of backhoe operator. We have a DWP employee up in Owens Lake area who's a backhoe operator who ordinarily we would ask to go and do their backhoe duties, but because we're letting out this contract, the contractor is going to be providing all the backhoe services as part of the contract, so our employee won't be needed.
Correct.
So to make it up to that employee, we're going to give them 10%.
We're going to make them work, and we'll give them 10%, up to 8 hours of overtime for that pay period. But they'll be doing work. They won't get the pay without doing work. They'll just be doing other work,
I see.
other overtime work.
And this is something that's required by the MOU that we
It is
enter
something
into this?
required by the MOU.
Otherwise, they would object to the contract?
This is a provision of the MOU that is a condition for letting work outside that could otherwise be performed by DWP employees. Yes.
Okay. That clarifies it for me.
Thank you.
I would like to support this item.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'm just curious as to why we do not award this work to the DWP employees.
We don't have the staff that's going to require a very large amount of staff and equipment over a very short period of time in order to get this done by the deadline. So we don't have the required staff in order to meet the deadlines. Staff and materials and equipment.
Okay. And the 10%, how was that number achieved? Is that through the MOU that's stated there?
That's actually through the MOU. The MOU says if you're going to contract out bargaining unit work, you'll offer up to 10% in a pay period. Only to the people. It's very limited to the location, the classification, and I want to make it clear it's not for work not done. It's other work that'll be done. And it's 10% is in the MOU.
As a point of clarification, you offer up the work. It's not like you're mandating them to do the work. You're offering up the opportunity for them to do that up to 10% overtime.
And if they decline the overtime, that counts towards their obligation. So.
Do I have a second on 18?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 18 carries. Items 23 and 24 will be deemed filed, which takes us into...
Oh, wait, I do have a question about 23, if I could ask it.
Sure.
This has to do with the bond, I think that's under 23, yes, the bond escrow funds. And the question I have is related to the CDs, commercial paper, and bonds that we have with European banks. I'm a little concerned about the stability of a number of European institutions right now. I know a number of, especially the French banks, recently downgraded, and I just want to make sure that that whoever our advisor is tracking that, because we do seem to have a fair amount of money posted with either European banks or their American subsidiaries.
I asked that staff provide a report as to the ratings and strength of the foreign banks that we're using in that regard.
We'll see. We do monitor the credit ratings of the securities and the portfolios on a daily basis. And what we do to limit the credit risk is to first limit the exposure to financial institutions to start. And secondly, what we do is we shorten the duration also. And when we have financial institutions, I think some of the banks that you've seen, they are in the decommissioning trust funds, which are more a long-term type of portfolio rather than the shorter term.
Well,
so those are the three types of risks.
Lehman Brothers was rated AAA the day before they
Yes.
they went under.
That one was fast. Yeah.
Right, but I think to Commissioner Moss's point, at the next board meeting, if you could spend a little more time speaking to how those monies are invested and with whom, I think it would be beneficial to us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, or I would like to ask Mr. McDaniel regarding 23A. And on the second page of this report, Jim, it shows that our August water use versus our base year is essentially about 20% below where the LADWP base year. And so could you describe how these water savings have actually transpired?
So we tracked, or we established at the beginning of this last water shortage period or drought, July 2006, 2007 as a base period, because that was the kind of year before we really started getting into a water shortage condition. And then we've been measuring against 2006, 2007 since then. And in the report, you can see that we have several different metrics that we're using, but one of the ones that we've been kind of the benchmark one that's on the graph is comparisons from the base year, and our single family remains below 20%. It's down 21.2%, and then if you average all of the different customer classes, we're at 19.6% below the base year. And it's somewhat extraordinary that we've been able to maintain this level of conservation for the number of months that we have. Usually we have a note in there. I was trying to find how many months in a row that we've been doing this. And
49.
Yeah, there it is, 49th consecutive months that we've done this. And we started adding up, we used to add up all the cities. This is as much as City of Long Beach and Glendale and Burbank and Pasadena, and we ran out of cities. I mean, there's just, we have saved so much water during this drought period that it's just a phenomenal and unprecedented record, and citizens are to be congratulated for
Yes.
continuing these water-wise ways.
Thanks so much, Jim. And I do think that this is something the general manager could perhaps talk to the PR staff within the department. This is something that's notable, and I think Angelino should be thanked for their efforts that they've contributed to these great savings.
We've certainly attempted to do that during the course of all of our 30-some workshops that we've had on the power side, and I know Jim has done similarly on the urban water management plan efforts as well. But then again, that's only to those who come to those events. So point well taken, and I think it is something that we need to get out there, because as I've indicated, and I think Jim has indicated as well, in those public venues, I'm often, when I mention this to people, they're incredulous that Los Angeles could possibly be such a leader in water conservation and efficiency savings, and so consequently, you're right. We need to get the word out more as to what Angelinos are doing in this way.
I completely agree, and I think DWP staff should take a bow too. This is some great work, and thanks very much for the good work you're doing in conservation.
Any other comments or questions on 23 or 24? They will be deemed filed, which takes us to 25, which is back in the closed session. Mr. City Attorney.
And the board shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon, in accordance with Section 54 and 957.1 of the California Government Code.
Thank you. We are now in closed session.